Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gajira. I am the Silver Dragon Gamer. So today in our series for How Strong Can Link Get, before doing any dungeons, shrines, and with no glitches series, we'll be covering Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This game released in 2023 for the Nintendo Switch and was a huge success. This game is also a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild and even uses a lot of the same mechanics, which is why many people thought it was supposed to be a DLC for Breath of the Wild originally. However, it's always been its own original game. This game does have several interesting new mechanics in it though. My personal favorite is the Ascend ability. Rumor has it that this ability was originally a developer tool to just get out of caves faster after testing, and someone had the brilliant idea to just give it to the players as well. Now, Tears of the Kingdom might feel like a clone of Breath of the Wild at times with similar gear and combat mechanics, but its new abilities can definitely stand on their own. Unfortunately for this game, we will not be accessing any of the fun mechanics. We will be stuck running on Link's two legs. This video will follow a similar format to the Breath of the Wild, in that I will just be breaking it down into a list of where to find the various items, because otherwise it's just going to get too long and be out of hand. And it's a lot of just Link running around. So, without too much further ado, let's get into this. You can see the order in which I will be covering each item, starting with the Purah Pad and ending with the Zonai energy cell. Now, the Purah Pad is granted to us from one of the steward constructs and allows us access to the map. It's very difficult to miss this item as long as you follow the path the game shows you to the steward. In Tears, the ability to teleport to shrines is not given out this early in the game, so we have to walk everywhere, so the map is very important. One important note for this run though, I know I avoided food in the last game, but in here there are two types of food that are crucial to collecting everything. They're the spicy food for the cold area and energizing food. Spicy is self-explanatory, but the energizing food is absolutely needed as well to travel across two of the large lakes without Ultra Hand. You can make the energizing food by simply cooking the stamella shrooms or stam bulbs. Make sure to either craft a bunch of 1/4 recovery or a couple of 3/4 to full recovery meals with the items in question, or you will drown in those large lakes. There are only two pieces of armor that we can grab early in the game. Now, the first piece is the archaic legwear, and it's very easy to find and collect. You simply need to follow the tunnel from the Room of Awakening, and you will find the legwear in a chest just before reaching the outdoors and having to jump down to the main part of Great Sky Island. The second piece of armor is located on the southern part of the island, and you have to cross the large lake on the left side of the island using the stam recovery food if you want to find it. The chest containing it is at the end of the pondside cave all the way at the south. Next up, we have our ranged weapons, which in this case is always bows and arrows. The first item we're going to discuss are the construct bows. Now, there are three main locations where you can get these, and they're always carried by Captain Constructs, and usually the areas give extra stuff as well. You can easily kill these pests if you already have an old wooden bow from earlier in the island. You just have to shoot them in one of the red eyes on their tall head. Now, the first place we're going to talk about also gives access to a rusty broadsword, a rusty shield, and an old wooden bow, along with a fused melee weapon of some variety, and is located right outside the mining cave entrance. It does have two soldier constructs with it, so the fight can be a little bit tricky, but it's not overly hard if you use the bows and just sit back and snipe them all off. Now, the second location is much harder than the first. It contains two of the captains, and it's in the cold zone, so you have to be prepared for that. What you want to look for is this particular location here where you have snow cascading off the side of a plateau. That snow is how you're going to climb up onto the plateau to get to the two captains. They also have the ability to fuse flame emitters to their melee weapons, turning them from a mild threat into a major one in an instant. Now, the third construct bow is actually located just southwest of the large lake on the southern part of the island. To get to the captain, you need to jump across these floating platforms and work your way down the roots to get to him. As long as you run around and kite him across the platform, sniping his eyes, you shouldn't have too many issues collecting his bow. Next up is the old wooden bows. These are scattered throughout the platform and relatively easy to collect. The first one you want to pay attention to is the one just west of the Temple of Time, where I've circled it in green. This one's very special because this area has a lot of arrow spawns just laying around on the ground. All you have to do is just run around and repeatedly press A, and you'll collect a bunch of extra arrows before going up here and fighting with the soldier construct to get your first bow. Wooden bow is actually a small tutorial spot on using a bow and stealth to hunt wildlife in the world. The steward construct there will tell you it's hunting, and there's a bow next to it with a couple of arrows for you to practice hunting as well. It'll instruct you on hunting and how to use stealth, making this one of the easiest bows to grab in the game. The last old wooden bow location is the same southern place outside a mining cave where we got the construct bow. This area is great because of its multiple weapons and armor that you can acquire here with just a single fight. To our shield locations. There are basically 3 types of shields you can get at this point in the game. Rusty shields, old wooden shields, and one flame emitter fused shield. The first one we're going to grab is an old wooden shield from one of the soldier constructs outside the Temple of Time. Once you beat him down, he drops an old wooden shield and a rusty broadsword, giving us a nice 2-for-1. On the west side of the map, just before the Great Lake, we're also going to come across another soldier construct wielding a rusty shield and a rusty sword, again giving us a nice 2-for-1 in one package. We can also acquire an old wooden bow from one of the soldier constructs on top of the tower there. Then it's on to our old reliable farming spot right outside the mining cave, where we're going to grab the rusty shield this time off of the stack. Again, marvelous place to get multiple pieces of gear. The last shield we can get is a unique wooden shield for this point in the run. It's a flame emitter fused shield. This is one of the few fused items we can actually get because we don't have access to Ultra Hand. It's at the very end of the bottomless cave beside this like, and if you don't feel like fighting him, just grab it and run out into the snow to continue on your journey. Otherwise, if you do want to fight him, you can grab a flame emitter out of this chest back here and whatever else he happens to drop out of his particular chest. Now we're on to melee weapons. First melee weapon we get in the game is the Decayed Master Sword. This is all that's left of the Master Sword after confronting that mummy creature from the intro in the game. It's a very weakened version, and it's really only got one use, and that's really to cut the vines that are holding Link inside this room. Next up are several rusty broadsword locations. Now these locations have already been covered in depth at other points in the video. The main locations to get the rusty broadsword are the soldier outside the Temple of Time, the soldier just north of the large western lake, and the fight outside the mining cave. You can get a couple of them at that point. Now there may be others that spawn, but RNG is a thing and can change some of this information. Now we move on to the fused weapons that we can get. The first is the Soldier Reaper, and it's very simple since it's in a chest located at the point indicated on the map. You just have to swim across this little pond, climb up on this block, and pop the chest open to get what is the strongest melee weapon at this point in the game. Next up are the Flame Emitter Clubs. There are 2 located on the plateau where we got the construct bows. You just have to be patient and let the constructs fuse their weapons. It's a good idea to snipe them down as low as you can without killing them, and then let them fuse to get the clubs. The third is also in the ice biome, and he automatically starts with the weapon fused, so he can be a little bit trickier. Again, nothing too terrible. It's best just to snipe him down, and then you can go in and maybe finish him off with a bow, but just stay back, snipe him down, and collect your Flame Emitter Club. It's much simpler that way. Now that we've collected our weapons and armor, it's on to activating the shrines and finding the mining cave to get access to the forge. The mining cave entrance we've covered already. It's right where you fight that Captain Construct that drops all of the weapons and has everything. Once you go inside, you get to the end, you talk to this steward here, and he's actually a forge construct, not a steward construct, and he'll give you access to your first forge where you can trade in Zonai. Next up, we want to unlock the shrines with the Ukiye Shrine in the northwest, just beside the Temple of Time. Get up on the platform, hit the button, and open up this particular shrine. After that, it's on to the In-Issa Shrine, which is across the Great Lake in the west. Again, we just run up, hit the front of the shrine, open it up, and move on to the next area. The last shrine is the Gutenbach shrine. This shrine is in the cold and so requires a bit of prep. You just need to cook up a spicy dish or two with the peppers you find. Personally, I recommend taking 5 peppers, throwing them in a pot, cooking them up, and that'll give you plenty of time. Next, we need to acquire the Bubbul Gems. There's 1 gem in each of the 4 caves on the Great Sky Island, and you have to kill the big glowing bubble frogs to get it to drop its gem. The 4 caves are the Pondside Cave, the Pit Cave, the Mining Cave, and the Bottomless Cave. The bubble frogs are not overly difficult to kill. A couple of shots from your bow and they drop. When you get to the Mining Cave, make sure you stick to the left wall to find the frog. He is a little bit harder. Finally, we're on to the ever-annoying Koroks. On screen you can see the 7 locations, and now I'll just show you what each one of them looks like when you grab them. Again, these can be caught in any order. This just happens to be the order that I got them in. Now we move on to our final item, the Zonai Energy Cell. You can get this item in one of 2 different places. One is by the southern lake, and one is by the eastern icy river. Talking to the constructs there will award you with your first Zonai Energy Cell, which is used to power the Zonai devices. Both of them give you this cell because they offer various Zonai devices to use to cross their bodies of water. And now we have our wrap up. For armor, we have our Archaic Tunic and Archaic Legwear, the only 2 pieces of armor we can get at this point. For ranged weapons, we have our 4 construct bows and 1 old wooden bow, along with a plethora of arrows. For shields, we have 2 rusty shields, we have 1 old wooden shield, and we have our 1 fused flame emitter shield. For our melee weapons, we have the Decayed Master Sword, 1 stone axe, 3 rusty broadswords, 3 flame club emitters, and 1 fused soldier reaper weapon. And for our other non-weapon items, we have the Purah Pad. We've collected 7 Korok seeds, 4 Bubbul Gems, 1 energy cell, and I did pick up 10 of the crystallized charges from the forge, but that's not necessary because you really need 100 to make another energy cell, and you can't get enough this early. So with that, I'd like to thank you once again for watching a video. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share, as it really does help out the channel, and we can grow this into a much bigger and better community. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.